What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Lesser Athletes. My name is Chadwell, and today, like always, an interesting video for you here on the channel. Who could Seth Rollins face at WrestleMania 42? Which, is it WrestleMania 42 or is it WrestleMania Vegas? Couldn't really tell you which one it is. But today we are talking about, sadly, Seth Rollins, that's injured currently. Who would he face at WrestleMania 42? Now, I planned this video way before he got injured. And so it's kind of awkward to now record this while he's injured, but still, I think in the grand scheme of things, when you're looking at WWE, Seth Rollins is the main player that you have right now, other than Roman Reigns, other than Cody Rhodes, whatever it might be. I would throw in Seth Rollins as being one of the top guys, or is the top guy for WWE, in my opinion, storyline-wise. Maybe Punk is in that group as well, but we are talking who could Seth Rollins face at WrestleMania 42, because I think, and I've said this before talking about his injury video, they invested so much chips into Seth Rollins that Seth Rollins looked like the main player for kind of WWE for the full-on future. And to be honest with you, him getting injured ruined a lot of those plans, I bet. But he was their main player, their workhorse, their guy that was going to be one of the best storylines that was coming out of WWE. And yeah, today we're going to talk about who he faces at WrestleMania 42. It goes from least likely to most likely, and I'll explain why for each one and why maybe not for each one. Talking about, first off, Gunther. So Gunther was, I bet, a match that they were going to have for him early on, but I don't know what's going to happen with this Gunther reign. Is he going to lose fast for this championship? Is he going to keep it till Mania? What's going to happen with Gunther? I could see him losing to CM Punk, but I also really see him winning against CM Punk. I think more than likely it will be a loss to Gunther, because I think CM Punk with the title will be more storyline-wise, makes sense with Seth Rollins. But I want to throw Gunther in here because that's a WrestleMania match. I know they were debating on it going into WrestleMania season, so I want to mention it. But I really do believe Gunther really is somebody that, in my opinion, makes a ton of sense to go against Seth Rollins. I think if Seth Rollins was more of a babyface, it would make more sense, not really a heel. But Gunther is somebody that is at the top of his game, and I think Seth Rollins is at one of the top players here, so it makes sense to have this match, but I don't think it's going to happen just yet. Up next is Sami Zayn. This is where I start thinking, okay, these are real players. These are real people that I could consider going against each other. Sami Zayn. Now, the route we go and why it would make sense is pretty obvious, in my opinion. The whole hint of Sami Zayn not winning a title right after WrestleMania with Seth Rollins is clear as day that they could be setting up a future feud with maybe Seth Rollins with the title and Sami Zayn winning the title from Seth Rollins. My only thing that I wonder how it could happen is if they're going to delay it. You know, I think this was a pretty obvious route they could go, but I just got to be honest with you. Do I see Sami Zayn winning and going to WrestleMania and going against Seth Rollins? It's kind of hard when there's a lot of different options that they might save now. But the route is simple. To me, it was either win the King of the Ring, and then they go against each other at SummerSlam. Didn't happen. Instead, or he cashes in on Sami Zayn, and then they tell a story that it's like to WrestleMania. The better route that everyone thinks is Sami Zayn winning a Royal Rumble in Saudi. Now, I really could see that happen. I mean, Sami is for the Saudi people. The Saudi crowd could leave off on a happy note, winning the Royal Rumble. And then ultimately, Seth Rollins maybe cashed in beforehand, now gets a chance to go and win it. And they could tell a really compelling story of the underdog Sami Zayn going against, a Braun Breaker, a Bronson Reed at the same time. And then ultimately Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins for the title. Now, maybe it's Sami versus somebody else for the title. Maybe it's not Seth Rollins, but I'm just telling you now, it's a compelling story. It makes so much sense. I have to mention it at least. Up next is CM Punk. Now, the reason why I think he should be a little bit higher on this list, but the reason why he's a little lower on this list, is because we've seen it so many times. We've seen the first ever at Netflix. Then we saw it at a variation before WrestleMania. Then we saw it happen at WrestleMania with Roman. The steel cage match was the one I was talking about before. Then I think we saw it again, if I'm not mistaken. No. Did we? Did we not? I'm trying to remember right now. I don't think we did, actually. That's a lie. No, we haven't. We saw tag matches with them. I think it was probably more than likely CM Punk versus Seth Rollins to happen at WrestleMania or at SummerSlam. And then maybe it really was Roman versus Braun, or maybe it was Punk versus Gunther all along. And I wish it would have been a better build. And then maybe it was Roman versus Seth, which I thought would have made a little bit more sense, but maybe they're saving that till WrestleMania. But Punk ultimately, I think the route you could go is Punk getting cashed in on by Seth Rollins. Punk wins a Royal Rumble. Punk wins an Elimination Chamber and goes against him at WrestleMania to fully end the feud, fully end it so that both are on opposite sides. Maybe that's when we get the actual big Punk run with the title. But that's kind of where I'm at right now, and I think it could make a lot of sense. But I think there's better routes. For example, a Cody Rhodes route. Now, the reason why I have Cody Rhodes higher is because I think after the injury, we could really see this one. I wonder if they don't turn Cody Rhodes heel, which I don't think they're going to. I think he makes too much on sales. He's too over as a babyface. Doesn't make sense to do it. I think what they could do is Cody Rhodes, going against maybe John Cena in his final match. The final match, I'm telling you. John Cena's retirement. Cody wins the title. Or maybe not. Maybe it's in the middle of the match. Whatever it might be. Seth Rollins ultimately cashes in. And we get a Seth Rollins with the title, heist of the century. Maybe Cody loses. Or no. I think he would have to win. He wins. Seth Rollins cashes it in. And then ultimately, Seth Rollins goes to WrestleMania with the undisputed title. And we get Cody versus Seth to really save wrestling. Or whatever it might be. Now, I wonder if that would happen over something else. But that's a big one I just see. I don't know. It just makes a ton of sense. They've hinted it. It would be a full circle moment with Seth Rollins, helping him. 2 years later, they're facing off against each other with Seth with the title. He has the undisputed title and not the actual heavyweight title. I could see it. I could see maybe somebody else as John Cena's final opponent and the same thing happening. So we'll see on Cody Rhodes. But I really think there's two big dogs, and let's talk about both of them. Braun Breaker. With the injury, this could be more of a possibility. I don't want this group to break up, though. That's the only thing that I wish it could be for a SummerSlam in Minnesota, and then they go back to WrestleMania to get a bigger match, whatever. But I truthfully believe in my heart, to be completely honest with you, this group is too young. They shouldn't do it. They shouldn't break up. Now, could it happen? Could it potentially happen? Totally could see it potentially happen. But Braun Breaker to me is just too young. I think it. Let me just say the storyline of how we get there. In my opinion, we could see a Braun Breaker taking the reins. If Braun Breaker takes the reins, and maybe Seth comes back, Braun Breaker's not backing down a little bit, and then there was a hint with Roman where he said, "Braun Breaker, Paul Heyman will always turn on you." I think what would happen is Seth gets turned on, and Braun Breaker goes after Seth. Maybe cost him something. Maybe it's a one-on-one, no title, but I think the more likely scenario is that it's Seth Rollins cashes in, gets the title, and then maybe Braun Breaker's not liking it, and then maybe Braun Breaker spears him. Maybe he wins the Rumble, and no one knows who he's going to choose, and then ultimately Breaker chooses Seth Rollins, and then they switch, and maybe Braun Breaker's acting alone, but maybe we get a full circle moment where it's WrestleMania again, then Paul Heyman turns on Seth Rollins with Bronson Reed as well, that it's actually the two, and Seth Rollins alone, and has a babyface arc again. Maybe it's something like that. That's a kind of a throw it out there type of scenario, but I really do believe Braun Breaker has a better chance of going against Seth Rollins after the injury. But my number one, which I think personally there's two ways you could do it, two different ways you could do it. Maybe it's Roman about to win the undisputed title from somebody. I don't know. It's John Cena. I don't know if it's somebody else, but Seth Rollins cashes in on Roman Reigns. Or you have it where ultimately Seth wins the heavyweight title, and then if he cashes in on Roman again, that's a perfect opportunity to do it. But then you ultimately have Seth as a world heavyweight champion. Roman wins maybe Saudi, maybe Elimination Chamber, and then they run it there. The two of them, Roman finally beats Seth Rollins. Now, I think it would have to be the Undisputed title because of how that's Roman's title, how Roman's built that title, how Roman has called the heavyweight championship the second place championship, which is destroyed the championship a little bit, let's be honest here. But I feel like Roman with that heavyweight title is kind of a need to really give and elevate that title just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Now, I wonder if it would be a Seth cashing in, winning the title, and then Roman ultimately, winning Saudi, going after them and winning it back, whatever. There has to just be something there where I think this is it. I think this is what they're saving for. I think it was going to happen at SummerSlam. And if they didn't plan for SummerSlam, clearly it was going to happen at Mania the next year. But this is my pick. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.